What's up, everybody? Welcome to Hammerdown Motorsports. If you guys are new to the channel, my name is Steve Fast, and here we are in the 2019 Ram Rebel. Now, we've had this truck for 10 months already. It's pretty much flown by, and well, I pretty much have a month's worth of mileage on this truck. It's got 5,578 miles. We've only really made one trip to the beach. You guys saw the last video. We were out on Aztec Island with it, having some fun, doing some four-wheeling, taking the kids out, having a great time. But we do have a few things to talk about the truck, just kind of in the 10 months that I've had it, and just kind of some of the things that I encountered during my time of ownership. So for those of you who are watching this video and thinking to yourself, well, I want to get into a 5th gen Ram truck, or I'm interested in kind of checking out the lineup, and I don't really know the differences between them. This is kind of something I've gone over a few times already, just kind of the options, the difference between a Rebel and just maybe a Laramie or a Longhorn or any of the higher up trim levels. The Rebel is more the off-road, the Z71 comparable type truck. It is just your basic kind of, if you're not a full-time Baja, you don't want to spend $70,000 on a Raptor kind of guy, but you do want to have that little bit of off-road capability. The Rebel is kind of like the sports truck for the outdoorsman and all that kind of stuff. Basically, it was a great fit for me. So we do have the Ram boxes on this truck, and those are absolutely amazing. So if you guys have any kind of thoughts of getting those, definitely look into them because they are awesome. Everybody that I know that has had them would always get them again, because obviously you do get a ton of storage that normally you would not even be using that part of your bed anyway. Not to mention they're lighted, and they do have a 110 volt power source in there. So if you want to charge your phone or plug in a radio or something like that, it just makes it like an awesome truck for tailgating. And there's just so many different configurations with these trucks that really make them kind of what they are and a leader in the industry. There definitely has been some waves made with the Ram, and I mean, I have really no big complaints with this truck. I do have a couple little things that they definitely can iron out, and I may take it in for warranty at some point but it's nothing that really affects, you know, the daily drive of the truck or really any of its functionality. So the first real problem I had with the truck, and it's a very common thing with the earlier production 2019 Ram models, is the rear window. They're made by the same manufacturer that makes the Silverado ones, and well, they're just a bad design, or they have a bad compound of the plastic or something like that. Something was wrong with the way that they were made, and it turns out that they end up cracking over time, and I ended up with that issue. There has been some people that actually have had leaking and problems with their carpet getting wet, which I'm not entirely sure that maybe that was to do with the window, because there is one other issue that I'll go over in a minute that can cause water to get into the cab, which obviously not a good thing at all. I've checked mine and mine was fine. Let's just get into that right now. Okay, so on these trucks with the panoramic sunroof, there's 4 drain tubes. There's one in the front driver's door, there's one on the passenger door, and there's 2 in the back of the cab. And apparently some of them from the factory didn't have the little grommet that holds that drain tube in seated. So then when the rain would run past the back side of your cab, it could get into the back part behind the seat, and then it end up getting some wet carpet and stuff you don't want to have with your new truck. I checked mine, they were all good, but definitely if you have one of these trucks, check those out, because I've seen on somebody else's video where it was just hanging out of the cab, and obviously not a good situation there. Apparently they say that you have to pull the box forward to actually access them to try to get those back in, but I'm sure there's enough room that you could sneak up in there and pop them back in if you had to. Also with the air conditioning, everybody's been, well, not everybody, but some people online have been complaining about the efficiency of the air conditioning on these trucks. And the fact is, it's not really the fault of the truck. It's just kind of by having the panoramic sunroof, I think more so, it makes the truck a little bit hotter. So when you just first start it up and it's 110 degrees inside the truck, it does take a little bit longer to cool it off. But with that being said, you can also go into your climate controls and hit max AC, and then that will turn everything to the maximum, and it will cool off a lot faster. But one of the trade-offs with having the panoramic sunroof is the fact that it does give you a little bit more heat, especially on those really hot sunny days. And even if you have the cover over, you do feel some heat radiating kind of off of that whole big glass area that's open. Just something to be expected. It's not the end of the world, but you do end up having to turn the AC up a little bit higher on those really hot days. And another thing I noticed with my truck in particular with the air conditioning is when I turn it off, when everything equalizes, like if you wait probably about 30 seconds, a minute, something like that, you'll hear a little whistle sound kind of from the glove box on the passenger side. Now, I believe that's just everything equalizing within the evaporator or something like that. I think it's just maybe a design flaw or something like that. You do hear a little whistle kind of sound, and I believe it happened on my Laramie as well. But chances are, if they had that issue with the 2019 models, they probably fixed it for the 2020 models, just like the rear window. And if you're like me and you like loud exhaust, well, I have the Borla Attack on this truck, and well, tunnels are always a good time. But aside from that, the truck has been really good. I mean, I've got a couple of complaints that everybody's had. Obviously, the missing options that you can get in a Laramie and the higher trim levels that you can't get on the Rebel, like the 360 camera, which I'm still in the works and trying to figure out. There's got to be a interface harness that you got to put in behind the screen. And actually, to take the screen out is really easy. It's 2 screws. I've had it out already. But everything is just, there's no input for a camera back there. So you're going to have a interface, and I think with the Taser, I'm going to be able to actually program that. Hopefully, it's still one of those things I'm trying to work out, but we're waiting for an interface to be made. Apparently, it's in the works, but with all the things happening, I mean, everything's slowed down, and that's just kind of the way that life is at the moment. But hopefully that we can get that figured out one of these days. And also the ventilated seats, I mean, it's not the end of the world if you don't have them. I've been driving and it's 87 degrees right now. I really don't feel the need for them. It's not the end of the world, but it's something that should have been in these trucks, let's be honest. So as far as our fuel economy goes, right now I'm at 13 miles per gallon, which is actually pretty good. Usually I was around 11 because I was just doing short trips with it, and I always just start and go and then end up having idle time added on. It just really drove that down. And when I put the bigger tires on, it definitely made that number go down significantly. With my old truck, I was averaging around 16, and that one was a little bit lower as a Laramie. It had the air dam and everything for aerodynamics and all that kind of thing. So it definitely was a little bit easier on fuel than the Rebel, but I'm not really too concerned about that. I mean, it's a good truck. It's definitely not crazy good on fuel, but you don't really expect that with a truck with a big lift, 35-inch tires, and loud exhaust and a heavy foot. So if I had to do it all over again, would I get a Ram Rebel? Well, I'm pretty sure I would. Even though it doesn't have the 360 camera and it doesn't have the cooled seats, I think I would still go with the Rebel just because of the sporty appearance and just kind of the following of this truck. Like it's more or less like kind of the truck guy's Jeep, I guess you might say. Like, it's not, the Laramie is kind of like more for like the business guy, or you know, the foreman on the job site or something like that. It's a little bit cushy. It's not really that rugged off-road kind of style. It doesn't have the bumpers with the texture on them, so you don't get rock chips, which is definitely a plus, because the Laramie chipped like crazy, and I was endlessly putting touch-up paint on all the parts where the paint was missing on a truck that only had 5,000 miles, which was absolutely crazy. So yeah, these bumpers are a lot better. I have no issues whatsoever with the paint on this one. I also had chip issues with my other truck, and the dealership was we've been down this road. They didn't care at all. So yeah, the support for these trucks I found wasn't the greatest, but that's all really I'm going to say about that. I've spouted off enough about the dealership, and it still bothers me when I think about it. But hey, it is what it is. We're on the road. Everything's been taken care of by me thus far. I didn't even go back for my free oil change. I don't even care. I will never even set foot in that dealership again. I have my own shop. I'll do my stuff there, and everything should be just fine. Aside from a couple little warranty things, which I'm going to take to the other dealership that, if you guys have been watching since the beginning, that's where we got the rear window replaced, and they took care of us really good. That was New Holland, Ford, Chrysler. They actually, I think they have Toyota as well, so it's kind of strange you can buy a Ford or a Ram at the same place. But that dealership has been pretty good so far, and I got nothing but good things to say about the service that I've received from them. And another reason why I'd get a Rebel again is because the seats in these are better than the Laramie. They're a little more cushioned. You'll notice that right away. The Laramie, they seemed really wide and like kind of like moved around in them a little bit, but in these Rebel seats, you definitely feel like you got a little bit more bolster, a little more cushion. And I like the quality of the leather, and just the way that it says Rebel in the seat just kind of looks nice and just kind of gives you that little bit more of a sporty feel. So there it is, everybody. 10 months of ownership on the 2019 Ram Rebel. We have been definitely into this truck a lot as far as mods go, trying to get everything that I wanted out of this thing and make it my own. And I really appreciate everybody coming along for the ride with me on this truck. It isn't over yet. We still have some more stuff to do. We just kind of got to make some decisions and see where the next step is going to be. And also we're going to go out and have some fun with this thing. We've been out on the beach once already. I have a ton of sand in here that I need to clean out. The kids definitely attracted a whole bunch, and the all-weather mats worked really well for that as well. So I mean, just to take those out, probably dump them out, give it a little bit of a wash, quick vacuum, I think we should be good to go. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and as always, keep that hammer down.